All meeting to order. All right, do we have any additions, deletions to the agenda?
No.
All right, so we'll dive right into public comment. See if anyone wants to say anything. Yeah, Sharon?
Yeah, I just have one comment. At the last meeting, I watched the video, and at the end of the meeting, Kathy made a comment about reducing the health benefits. This was a subject that came up during the budget discussions this year. Yeah, and at town meeting, you know, and it was something that many people expressed interest in. That could be a line item that could be reduced, that could help reduce the budget by actually quite a bit. And here, Kathy mentioned this to me, so I went in and printed it out for Jen, just on June 10th. Voted to downsize their healthcare plan from the platinum to the CDHP gold. And they are saving their taxpayers $50,000 a year. So I think this is something that still needs serious consideration. I don't know what the aversion is to it. I know that on the video after Kathy and Chuck left the room, the comment was made that, well, we're not doing that. Without saying, you know, we should take this more seriously, maybe we should discuss this. No, I mean, I just don't think that summarily dismissing the idea is sufficient response. Okay? That's all. Just wanted to bring that up.
All right, thanks, Sharon. Melissa?
I have comments on the South Road thing, but I'll wait until.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, Melissa.
So there's a tree on Canton Road, that one that sticks up into the plant.
Yes.
It's smoothed up, yeah.
Is there any chance we could get that taken down? Because it looks like it's very tall. And I only say that because my husband went down Route 7 and a tree fell on him and just about killed him.
Oh my goodness.
Just recent.
No, not recently, totally destroyed.
Yeah.
So anyway, I wouldn't want it to fall because it really is.
Yeah. It is worse, but I know we've looked at it, we've talked to Rick about it too, and it's like far enough. I don't know, we can probably look up notes on that too. We've had discussions about it, because it's dead. It's like, we don't want to cause any damage or close the road for any amount of time. And it was a Morse developed property.
It's in the town.
Okay. I mean, we can look it up again, it's worth discussing. Yeah. That's
All right, we do.
And then the other, I guess this is just of the trees that are being removed this week. How much does it now?
10,000 is the contract that we told.
But we have to, what is our share of that?
Nothing, because it's offset by the hoppers having done the inoculation. It's a 1-to-1 match, but the hoppers did the heavy lifting for us on the match, which is really generous.
I just wanted to say that I've been working with Kyle a lot. And I just want to say what a wonderful job he's doing. And he's really learning a lot really quick. And he's definitely like, I relate to him because I'm like going there, learn everything as fast as you can. And the more you dig in, the more you want to go.
Thanks for sharing that.
Thanks.
Yes,
Yeah, thanks, Kyle, too. He's been great for us to like very smooth transition. Awesome. Appreciate it. Amazing. Anything else, public comment? All right. So we did get emailed. Thanks for doing that now. 6:11. Anyone have any comments or questions? Field, June 11th. Did you get that?
I think it's raised.
Yeah, no, yeah, that was not, sorry, nothing to add on my part. I was getting up.
So I'll make a motion to approve the 6:11 minutes as posted.
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Kyle, you're up.
Great. So thank you, Melissa. Appreciate you seeing so. Yeah, we have been working on it together, and we'll have more on that to start the next meeting. We'll see the It's early. And a lot of those. And obviously some of the stuff that we've been talking about, that we're going to be talking about in relation to budget and in relation to the audit. I wanted to just update the select board. The grand list evaluation about the utilities is true and accurate. Our utility valuation here in town, Green Mountain Power valuation increased from $2.5 to $5 million. The director herself of the Department of PBR and Taxes is saying that is an accurate number that will hold. So they're agreeing it to the state because we didn't have any evaluation. So that's great because it really boosts our grand list value. So residents will see, a lesser share of total expenses. It's going to be slight, but it's most towns in Vermont have seen a decrease in utility costs. So we've seen an increase, and that's a really good thing for us. So just wanted to clarify that. I did double check because I was very concerned. Ash tree removal is in process right now. The crew is moving into Lake Road. Their budget, as I mentioned, is 10,000. They're going to stick to it. It's 5 days and 2,000 a day. No deal. I've talked to their Bill from Davenport. He's a great guy to work with. Super easy to work with. They're on Lake Road. They have been good things. Whereas it makes things, but they're being conscientious about it. So that's been very clear along the way. The preparations for the fiscal year end continue. Again, just reminding everyone that the offices will be closed tomorrow. The town office is closed tomorrow. In preparation for that, it's kind of an all-day process of switching all the physical documents away. Today, this morning, it was a great start to the process. I think everyone in the community had a shared goal of making reserves work for the town and helping in long-term planning. The committee is planning a meeting twice a month for 2 hours until the draft is ready. The draft being ready hopefully for October, so that we can start the discussions of reserve fund stuff in November, which is around budget. So and there'll be more. We'll report on that regularly as we go along. Today was just an organization, and anyone else who wants to participate is of course welcome to participate. The open meeting law changes that I mentioned during last select board meeting did include one thing that I didn't know until I got an email from the LCC to email everyone about it. Basically, they said that agendas have to be much more specific. So no more other business, no more meeting stuff like they have to be much more specific in order to kind of comply with open meeting law. And so my intent is to do that. So no more other business or anything. The town hall was open as a cooling center on Monday and Tuesday this week. Nobody took advantage of it, but a lot of folks said, hey, that's a great thing. And we let the state know we're doing that right now. So we have that as a resource. The tree removal crew worked through the heat, and I offered to them, they said, hey, come on over, but they went and jumped in the lake instead. So that was probably a good thing. And then obviously a lot of the rest of the agenda is stuff that we'll be talking about. So that's really it for treasurer updates until we get to the specific items.
Okay. Do you have anything? So looking at this agenda, based on what they want to see going forward, I mean, is there anything on here? We don't list anything like other items.
Yeah, is there
Would there
room
be
for
anything you
expansion?
Elaborate on?
I'm sorry.
Room for expansion, like an empty slot where you could add stuff to an agenda?
Well, that's supposed to be covered under the number 2. So if we did need to add something, we would have to have it prepared. And usually, so the other thing was really was a clarification of the fact that they want it to be much more clear. The state, not the state wants it to be much more clear and concise, but also additions and deletions to the agenda should be used infrequently because folks aren't warned about them and they don't kind of comply with that idea of transparency. Deletions are perhaps easier to deal with, but additions should be like really only emergent additions.
So my question is, are basically this agenda in compliance?
Yes, definitely. Each thing is listed. Most things are included as whether or not it's an action or if it's just a discussion item, and everything is I think in compliance.
Thanks, Kyle. Moving on, appointment of select board delegate in the AP payroll review.
Yeah, this was something, so the select board decided last meeting to go to 1 meeting per month, and we discussed this, and I just, what other towns that go to 1 meeting a month do is they appoint one member of the select board to be the kind of designee for signing and reviewing the AP each week as we generate it. Our AP payroll is generated on Mondays, and so it would either be Monday or Tuesday Tuesday would be fine, whatever day would work. And then it would be reviewed by the entire select board and presented to the entire select board at the regular meeting for the select. Additionally, Kathy brought up something that I think is a great idea, which is including the warrant reports in the packets of information that I gave you, and I'll make sure to do that in the future. Additionally, the one thing that I think might be important, and the select board does have the authority to do this, is designate a person to sign, say a letter, a complaint comes in that needs to be addressed by a select board member, or say that not a grant or anything like that, non-expending of funds, but an agreement of something or a recognition of something, or basically a signatory on behalf of the select board. Again, to be reviewed at the full select board meeting, but with the idea that we're only meeting once a month, but this can be handled kind of in the moment. And so, yeah, I would just ask if you do make a motion, it would be a motion to appoint X to sign AP payroll warrants and also to act as a signatory for presentations.
Okay. Does anybody feel able to do that? I mean,
I can do it. I mean, you open at like 8:00.
Yeah.
So
And I'm happy to make whatever arrangements you need to make that.
Is it designated only one person?
It doesn't have to be. It can be anyone that the select board chooses, or any group of people that the select board chooses, with the knowledge that if there's 3, it becomes a select board meeting.
But do we have to all 3 be here at the same time to sign?
No, I guess
It still has to get voted on at the next meeting, otherwise it's.
well, they always have to get voted on and approved. But
Yes.
right.
Officially, it's just somebody.
Yes, but it's also to catch things early. If somebody said, if say it's Kirsten, and she said, well, what is this? This is outrageous or something. I don't think we should approve this. Then that triggers a whole process for me and Donna to go through and review. Maybe there is something really wrong. Maybe we shouldn't talk.
I mean, if one of you prefer to do it since you've been on the, for you.
She can convene it.
I don't mind doing it either.
Yeah, I think we could just we could leave it kind of open based on, like, I know most Wednesdays and Thursdays, that's fine. It's not a Monday or Tuesday, but I could come in most Wednesdays and Thursdays, but we could kind of leave it open for the people who
Are available.
have time, you know, like.
Then
it's hard for
every
you
week,
because
but then
you're-
every week you have to be like, okay, who's gonna go on the time?
Well,
Versus if
then-
you just have a person that can do it, then they
That
can.
allowable
That's true.
to not have a fixed designation?
I believe the select board can delegate, it says basically the select board can delegate anybody to any particular task. So it could be the select board delegates any member of the select board to approve weekly payroll warrant, weekly AP payroll warrants.
I mean, Kirsten, I don't disagree with you. I think that we could say it's one person, but then know that there you have backup, like
Right,
if you're
yeah,
willing to
that-
do it, that,
If we have
you
backup,
know,
yeah,
there's
if
backup,
you're
and-
vacation.
right, yeah.
Yeah, why don't we designate one person now, and then
Yeah.
if you can't make it, like, we have your email change as public, we can say like, hey, Reese can do it this week, Reese is gonna do it, and we'll
Yeah.
delegate him to do it. If you wanna have your name on it for now to start, Kirsten, do you wanna?
Sure.
Okay.
I mean, if you guys,
I just
know
can't
that, you
commit
know,
to,
because
like-
I am new on the board.
Yeah, but I mean, you're being able to look at, you know, I have confidence you're able to look at the bills, and I mean, Kyle will be standing right there and you'd be like, what was this for? What was this for? I don't think it's gonna be less information than you would get in a select board meeting. So I mean, I'm confident that you would be able to like look at something and say, that seems weird. Or even if it doesn't seem weird, just like, can you explain this? I'm confident with that, and, you know, and then there's always people who you can ask questions about.
Would you also want Kristen to act as the signatory in case of necessary signatures? Again, non-expendatory, no encumbrance of funds, no spending of town money, just in terms of like, say we needed a response to a letter of complaint or a zoning violation or something like that.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, if you're comfortable with it, I'm comfortable with
Yeah,
it.
it's up to you. If
It's
you
up
don't
to
wanna
you.
do that, like.
No,
anyone
I'm
else
fine
can.
with it. I mean, it's not, I mean, we have to discuss the issue anyways.
Correct,
So it's just a signature saying that we got it.
correct.
Basically, yeah, it's just allowing for an immediate response so that I can generate that response and then present it to full select board. No decision to be made. I just had something come up this week or last week, I think it was. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I just needed a signature and, yeah. So, It would be a motion to approve Kirsten as the select board's designee for AP payroll warrants and cemetery non-spending funds.
I will make a motion of that, of Kirsten to be come in and sign the AP warrants and sign on any non-expended expenditure related.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
I,
Thank you very much. We can work out the details whenever it's convenient.
All right, proposal for highway capital project reserve fund.
Yes, so each of you in your packet has a letter from the road foreman who couldn't make it tonight. There's some personal matters. Basically, and this is related to the paving. So, this is where I was going to discuss it anyways. The paving there are two contractors in the state of Vermont who do paving above north of Route 4. There is DNF and there is Pikes. Pikes is more than $120 per ton of material. DNF is approximately 87. The town has utilized DNF last year. We're planning on utilizing DNF this year. Right now, DNF is in Addison. The idea this year in the paving plan, as reported in the town report, was that Addison would pave Jersey Street from the Addison line into Addison. We would pave Jersey Street from the Addison paint line into Canton. We have approximately $100,000 budgeted for that, and they are here now. That is a little earlier than expected, and we're gonna have to figure out a way to account for it accurately. Most likely, it will be that the project won't be completed until after the end of the fiscal year, which means it will appear in next year's budget. Which means that there won't be a significant issue for this year's budget. However, we're gonna have to see how that turns out. We are in line to get our paving done because they only come once and they only are here now and they won't come back. So we kind of have to, they call the tune and we dance to it because unfortunately, as I said, there's only two companies that are. Right now, we have a budgeted amount of approximately $100,000 to road retreat. The cost is $87 per ton. It's going to cost us approximately, it's going to take approximately 1,100 tons. That accounts for about 1,100 tons of material. That's going to get us about 3,400 feet of road, which is plus or minus 3/4 of a mile, somewhere in that ballpark. Rick wants the idea of Jersey Street being a 3-mile road. Rick wanted to see us be able to do it in 3 chunks or less, fewer, because otherwise we're just stretching it out and then we're neglecting other roads in town which might need retreat down the road. The paving plan has a list of the roads laid out. He's requesting $50,000 from the Highway Capital Project Fund in order to be able to do an additional, I believe that's going to be 540 tons of material, which would get us a little closer, about a mile, basically, what we're aiming for. The problem is that it's about the way that the road, it's a 2.5-inch coat on a 22-foot wide road, 3,400 feet long, and then plus an additional amount. The problem is you get to places that need 3 inches, you get to places that need 5 inches, you get to places that only need 1 inch. It's about the smoothness and levelness of the road. And so you can't necessarily say that 1,100 tons is going to be able to get you X number of feet. It's based on that depth that we have to determine while we're doing it. And like there's a culvert kind of bump out over by where the horse oil farm is that might take a ton or two by itself just to be able to fill it in the road. So he's asking for the $50,000 from the capital improvement fund, the reserve fund, to be able to spend on paving this year. With the idea being that it's going to get us a little closer to our goal, help us catch up and help us stay on top of the road retreat. The fund stands capitalized at 150,000 some odd and change. So that would represent approximately 1/3 of that reserve fund. To do that, and then you have the letter there with the details. He and I drafted that. He dictated, I typed. Those are his words directly from his request.
Historically, what is that fund sat at, you guys, do you know?
Well, we contribute to it annually, and we contribute to it annually, and I know that we try to keep it, but at a level, but I can't remember where it's sat historically. We could go back and look at that, but I don't have that number in my head. In my opinion, since they're here, this is kind of what that money, that's a good use of this money to keep us on track. And then we'll just have to be mindful of that when we set up our budget and to replenish as much as we can.
And in this whole conversation is the reserve fund planning committee, which is kind of developing plans exactly kind of along these lines to avoid situations like this, which is, we want to make long-term allocations, not get spurred, not have to make quicker decisions. So we want to know that we can spread this out. We want to know that we're able to, budget for it every year. For the last several years, the fund has been budgeted, I think it's between $10,000 and $20,000 a year for about the last 5 years. This year it's not being funded in an effort to kind of get control over the reserve funds. It will be funded with the recommendations based on what the reserve fund planning committee discusses. It will be funded in future years. It's all based on this long-term plan that we're going to be developing. What do we want to pay? What is it going to cost us? And that kind of thing. This just happens to be a situation he brought to me. He wanted it presented to the select board. He couldn't be the person who asked this.
So typically, like yearly, it's fund tapped into.
I'm sorry?
Is the reserve fund typically tapped into?
It hasn't been used in the last, at least couple of years.
Melissa?
Is this a road, I don't know what class road it is this one that we got grant money, we got the grant this year that we can use to do this stretch, and maybe next year we might get the grant?
It's kind of a crapshoot whether or not we're going to be getting the paving grant next year. We're a little far back in line for that. It probably is one, it's a class 2, so it probably is one that would have gotten paving money, grant money for. The idea is he feels, and again, I'm just expressing kind of the things that he expressed to me. He feels like he needs to catch up a little bit in terms of that paving plan to stay ahead of it. And that was why he wanted to come this year instead of waiting too much. That will allow him to then, because there's 2 more miles of Jersey Street that have to be done. And then Button Bay Road, and the paving plan that he laid out, he's pretty comprehensive. But it is not, it's subject to change as circumstance dictates.
Yeah, I guess I'm just curious what you're saying. Some places it might be 5 inches and whatever. I paved on the interstate. The road does not have to be, these back roads do not have to be 100% flat. And if there's something that is really deep, they can actually put a certain type of gravel in there to build it up, and then still just pave the 2 or 4 inch over it, because they're not changing that machine all the time for the different depths. They set it at a certain amount, and like I said, I've done this. And so I guess I'm just concerned on how we're getting that information. That some places you might have to go 5 inches, and some places a lot less. That isn't the way it works. And these roads at 30 miles an hour do not need a complete smooth like an interstate road. I just have a problem with us putting a lot of pavement in different areas to make it just flat. So that's just my opinion. I don't know where it's coming from, that they have to change it because they don't.
5 inches is just 2.5 is what we're shooting for. It might be 3, it might be 2. It's 5 is a little hyperbole on my part.
Anybody else have questions about Rick's request? No. So we need to make a motion to approve that?
Yeah.
Sorry. And I'm probably jumping ahead. I just get out of work. But we have money coming in for West Road. When did West Road become not a class 4 road? A class 4 is a trail. Why are we putting so much money? And I was reading the back minutes in culverts into a road that's a class 4 road. And there's nowhere in any of the minutes where it said it was ever voted on to be a class 2 or a class 3 road. And I think it's just ridiculous. There's one house on that road. and they can get there from Canton Road. Yes, it's nicely graded and whatever, but I think it's ridiculous putting a lot of money into a road that's only used by people with their farm equipment or going down fishing. It's a class 4 road. We're not supposed to be putting money into a class 4 road.
Okay, thanks.
Can I make a comment on that? If it's a class 4 road, then it has to be posted as a class 4 road.
That's right.
At your own risk.
And it
If
should be.
this is not in Hampton, it's not posted, so the town has to keep it up.
Well, then it's cheaper to buy a poster sign than it is to put all that money into the road. I mean, they've already put a huge culvert in there that cost $30,000. And now we're looking at this other grant, that could go towards the blacktopping.
It
It can, because it's a grant for back roads, but it doesn't.
It's not for class 4, but it's a grant for, it's a whole separate grant. It's the Better Back Roads grant. It's for hydrologically connected segments of roads. It's a very specific targeted thing. That's what the work on West Road was done with money for them, FEMA money, and then a Better Back Road grant. So it's
But
not,
a class 4 road. We're not supposed to put money in.
we're not putting a lot of money.
Yeah, it's fund, state funded, right?
It's
The
mostly
grant,
state and regional funding.
I
And
would-
federal if FEMA comes.
I'll tell you, Stovepipe City Road needs work done on it more than West Road.
Okay. Thanks.
All right, any other comments from the board?
Okay.
I think typically, historically, things like this do pop up, like personally, I mean, it's why we hired Jeff and Rick. I mean, it's above my pay grade to know about paving and inches. I'm glad Debbie has history with that. It's amazing to have citizens tell us, but I usually hire the best crew we can, and I trust what is brought to us and what they're gonna do the best for the town. So that's kind of where I sit, so I'm kind of ready to move on that.
Well, I'll make a motion then to approve Rick's request to pull.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this 50,000 coming out of their paving, is that also where capital improvement funds will be coming out for the payloader and truck?
No,
That those are different?
Yep.
different reserve fund.
All right, thank you.
I'd like to make a motion to approve Rick's request for $50,000 out of the capital project reserve fund for that paving.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, moving on.
Just kind
Is that gonna,
That's gonna come out 26. That's the goal. That's what we're gonna make, that's how we're gonna make it work.
All right, LEMP and LHMP discussion.
Yes, so the LEMP is the local emergency management plan. This was generated mostly by Hot Office planning work here. I updated it to reflect the new election and votes like that. Other than that, it really hasn't changed. It was due June 1st. It fell through the cracks. I talked with our representative from FEMA. We're fine. Everything's fine as long as we get it signed and approved. I participated in a drill today for the Vermont Emergency Management Agency as the emergency management coordinator, and the town did its part in that drill, and that was great. But having this plan in place, they didn't have all the details we needed, and so I felt an obligation. I knew I had an obligation to finish this, but I just wanted to make sure that it just got done as soon as possible. The plan itself, I think I presented this to the select board several meetings ago. I think it was towards the winter when Bob was still at EMC. Like I said, nothing really has changed except for the addition of the added select board members and the change of chairperson. And that's really it. Everything else is it's mostly contact lists, a list of supplies that the town has on file to be able to assist in emergencies, both assist the state and assist ourselves. If the town hall is going to be an emergency shelter, what resources it has, if the water treatment plant is our backup emergency shelter, which it is, and what resources it has, and the approvals of who can do what, basically. The addition in the approval scheme was that Rick could be able to make emergency purchases, which I think the select board did agree to on the draft version of this plan. The other two are the select board and the town clerk treasurer. Basically, the three of us would credit all this kind of thing to the town to get emergency purchases. And then that was really it in terms of the addition, for the plan itself. The document that we would need to adopt that requires legislative action here by the select board is the local emergency management plan municipal adoption. It's this one right here, requiring a signature of the select board, or excuse me, of the approval of the select board for me to sign it. I have incident command training, and so I'm able to sign it. I just wanted to make sure the select board was behind this plan. This, all it does again is update the names and contact information. We did receive a local emergency services appointee to the Regional Emergency Management Commission. That's Adam Bundy from the Defense Fire Department. He has graciously volunteered to act as our liaison on our behalf to the Regional Emergency Management Coordinator. And thanks very much to Harry Troutman, the FEMA person that we work with, for arranging that for us. That was really great to be able to do that. And so basically, I would just need the select board's approval to approve the local emergency management plan as the draft had been presented before. Just knowing that it was in fact created, it's basically last year's plan was updated.
Yeah, and knowing Bob Groff, it's completely comprehensive, so.
Yeah, Bob did a fantastic job. Thanks for rounding that out. Anyone else have questions on the board? Do you want to take a look at it again?
Zach, you are the de facto EMD, as the select board has not chosen one. It defaults to the chairperson of the select board, so you are in fact listed on this plan as the default EMD. You can update or amend this plan at any time, it's not set in stone. But for right now, you know, like with the cooling center, you and I corresponded about that. All decisions get reviewed by the entire staff, which is you and me, basically, and those decisions are made jointly, and you know, that's just reflective of that kind of.
Yeah, that's fine. We can keep that for now.
And you are listed in there as dog warden, Reese.
Yeah, rat warden.
And rat
Yeah,
warden.
that was interesting at best.
I have 4 copies of the same thing. I just want to know if anybody else has the same.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, yeah, pass on to this person. I apologize. I think I just put them on.
But I only have 4 copies, so I'm wondering if
Because
somebody.
I wasn't gonna be here.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
I have some of these things.
Well, it's the one of 2.
Oh, the one of.
I have duplicates of.
I can look over your folder.
Is there any supplies you need for this? Like, is there a?
You don't, so the town, so one of the questions on the form is what contracts does the town have in place? Do we have any contracts that would assist us? So the town, say like Waltham, they would list their contracted services for one. The town has a few contracts, but none are truly applicable to emergency situations. They're mostly related to salt and you know, plow blades, things like that, which are listed there, but they're not truly applicable to emergency situations. As far as it goes otherwise, we have enough internal resources to be able to handle most, you know, to be able to start handling most emergencies. And this provides the state at the FEMA level and the feds at the FEMA level to be able to determine, like, okay, you have a loader on site, you can assist in this process doing this.
Does anybody ever take advantage of a warming or cooling building?
No, unfortunately, no one took advantage of the cooling center this time around, but Bob Groff could not remember anyone doing it any time that he had opened. The warming center, I don't know. I didn't ask him about that.
But this is stuff we use on a regular basis and it's here already anyway.
Yes.
So there's no, it's not extra expenditure.
No. This is nothing about this is extra expenditures. This is all our own stuff. We're just listing it on behalf of
Public,
FEMA and
sure.
for them to know.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the LEMP and LHMP
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks, Kyle. All right, South Road naming discussion.
Yes, I would like to thank Sharon Ashcraft about her diligent work on this. She's done a tremendous amount of free labor for the town on this issue and has a truly comprehensive knowledge of the situation. And I definitely learned a lot in this process, so I want to thank you for that. Basically, she alerted us of the issue with our lister cards. That led me down kind of a rabbit hole of like realizing that maybe we don't have a clear understanding of South Road because the name wasn't. I did all the research, I consulted all the legal authorities necessary, and did in fact, and it was shown throughout, that the South Road was created as a legal trail in 2007 as part of ancient roads legislation. It was listed as a legal trail, it was identified there as such. The name was never changed. So it's been referred to in various documents in the town as South Road Trail, South Road Legal Trail. It's identified in a number of different ways. And my goal is, in working with Paul Sokol, County 911 coordinator, we have removed South Road from Google Maps, so it's no longer shows up on directions. Whereas before, if you plugged in, like you wanted to get from Jersey Street to 22A, it would send you down South Road, which is obviously not passable. So now it does not, and it sends you all the way around. So we wanted to clarify the name because we think, and based on the recommendation from Sharon and David Raphael, other folks in town, South Road Trail seems to be a very adequate name for this, a good name for it. The E911 board has no issues with this. Paul Sokol's already done the legwork on that checking to ensure. And the select board has the ability to, under ordinances and state law, the ability to just rename the road, especially since there are no landowners along South Road, and it is a firm town right of way at 4 rods and 1.23 miles, identified clearly in every aspect of state law. The only change we're making, and we're asking here, is about just changing the name to the South Road Trail.
Okay.
Does anybody have any discussion about that? Okay, Sharon and then.
So we're not really changing the name, it's always been South Road. All we're doing is adding the word trail, because it was made a trail in 2007. And after 18 years, this has been brought up numerous times in numerous select board meetings. Please, could we add the word trail to South Road, so that people, even your solar people, thought it was a road, because it said South Road. They were planning to drive down it. And they were out there laughing. Well, they said this is a road, this isn't a road. You know, I said, no, it's not a road, it's a trail. It's supposed to say South Road Trail. And there have been numerous places over the years that it is actually referred to as South Road Trail at select board meetings, when it was an agenda item, South Road Trail. What's her name, Alexandra Fogg, when she was given credit for doing all. They called it South Road Trail. So it's actually known as South Road Trail already. It's just never been formally added to the map, the word trail. And I don't know why. I don't know why that was never done, because it was designated as a legal trail in 2007, and that should have been, it showed on the map as legal trail. So it should have been South Road Trail, just really automatically. So we're basically, I just want to make that clear, we're not changing the name. We're just adding a word that makes it clear on all maps consistently what it is. Okay, that's all.
Yeah, thanks for the research on that. Good. Kathy?
So the lister cards be changed?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep. I confirmed with the assessor / lister today. Yeah.
because.
Yeah, they identified it as South Road.
Richard actually has, doesn't even touch.
No, they should be on West Road, 100%. Yeah, that is completely right. Absolutely. It was a mistake when the re-appraisal was done, and it's going to be corrected. So thank you for everyone who brought it to our attention.
Yeah, that was Kathy. Kathy found that there were 5 lister cards that said South Road.
Yeah.
And there's no properties on South Road that are taxed on South Road. When we looked at the map more carefully, all of those 5 properties that said they're on South Road, they're actually to the east of the bridge or the dam, and they're on West Road, not South Road. So, and then the other naming issue is the bridge itself. I'm talking to Fish and Wildlife about that. Fish and Wildlife, there's so many names on that little dam, or now it's a dam, but it used to be a bridge. Originally it was, I've seen South Bridge or Stone Bridge, and then it was called,
Third Bridge.
Third Bridge.
That's the actual name it's been
That's
for.
not an
50
official
some
name.
years.
That's not an official name. That's just what people call it. Okay, it was never designated to be called Third Bridge. And so anyway, now the state calls it Stone Bridge Dam. It's not a bridge anymore, it's a dam. So anyway, I'm trying to find out if that is their official name, so that that also can be correct on all maps across the board. It's already correct on the Dead Creek map, it says Stone Bridge Dam. And if you Google Stone Bridge Dam, you'll get birding websites that show the dam, and it's a great birding site to go to. So it would just be nice if the maps were accurate.
And the select board in 1953 ceded authority of that bridge, so that is no longer in the control of the town. So that
That's
was,
when the state bought it.
yeah, that is discontinued, so there is no authority for the select board to do anything.
Yeah, no, that's the state owns that. They discontinued the bridge in 1929. They didn't record the vote. It was on the town meeting agenda, but they didn't record the result of the vote. So when the state came along and bought the land, they actually required as part of their escrow process and closing documents that it be formally deeded that it was discontinued by the town, just the bridge, not the road.
And that's the vote that Kyle just discussed in that.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
officially lodged in the town record. We have a clear record of it, that the select board, pursuant to the provisions of state law, hereby discontinues the so-called third or side bridge across the.
Yeah, I found all those.
Yes, and this is all from Karen
Years
Apple.
ago.
She did a tremendous amount of work.
That's awesome. I love old history like that,
Me
so
too,
it's just.
so,
If you really want to get into history, all that land was owned by the church of people. It's been during my lifetime, when the parents used to pay property taxes. You pay them to the church.
No kidding. Learn something new every day.
Wanna make a,
No.
we need a motion on that
To change it
official name
official,
change?
yeah.
Can we add something to that?
Sure, where you at?
When you change the name, put that in. Because it does not go anywhere, and you're not supposed to cross that bridge.
So we should just put a sign up that says dead end, but probably not on,
You can cross the bridge.
well, it's not, yeah.
It's just not for cars.
You just can't drive across it. You're covered. For people that are walking.
They know it's a trail, yeah.
Basically, what we're asking right now is not
Yeah.
anything in addition, is not anything but changing the names of the town records electronically,
Yeah.
non-paper, not anything physical in any way, shape, or form. That would be a separate issue handled
I would like to make a motion to officially change the name to South Road Trail.
I will second that.
On favor?
Aye.
Thanks, Sharon.
It had never been an official thing.
One question on that, are you gonna put it back on Google Maps with all that it's a trail?
No.
And the only reason I say that is somebody goes down through there with a four-wheeler, gets in an accident, calls fire rescue, they gotta know where they're going.
We're working with the E911 board, it will be clarified in the E911.
Okay.
So why are they taking it off the map again?
They took it off, Google Maps took it off the map for a road route.
Oh, road, but they can still show it as a trail.
Yeah, I mean, it's still on the map, they didn't block it out. It's just, if you type in Google directions, it will send you, I won't send you.
All right, 2024 fiscal year audit discussion.
Yes, so you all received, I think I sent you all my memo about this in addition to, kind of some broader discussion this week. And so we got, this is a draft basically. So, the 2024 fiscal year audit report draft was sent to the treasurer's office about a week ago. Since that time, the report has been reviewed by myself, our contractor, fee accounting, knowledgeable tenant residents, thank you very much, Melissa David. Several errors, maybe of a format, mostly of a format, layout type, scrivener's errors type thing were identified. However, several were identified that would affect the bottom line. So corrections were proposed and sent back as part of the revision process. We're working with our auditors to get the final copy, and we have hopes that everything that we're suggesting is legitimate, and we think it's not going to affect it tremendously, but it will affect it. The comments that returned the auditor and then the process of making changes, they were also reviewed by our in-person auditor, with excellent work. Overall, the audit issued an unmodified audit opinion, also known as a clean opinion, is where the auditor concludes that the financial statements of the company or town are presented fairly in all material respects in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. It doesn't mean good or bad. It means that it seems to be materially sound and factual. They found no significant errors or misstatements that would mislead users of the financial statement. And while this is obviously easy for us to hear, we did a tremendous amount of work to prepare for this audit. And this opinion, again, is not referred to the financial condition of the town, mostly the report itself is seemingly accurate. The net position of the town, which is assets minus liabilities, decreased by approximately $33,000, most likely due to a variety of factors: depreciation of assets, increased expenditures and liabilities assumed with insurance, payroll, and debt. The net position is an important component to the overall and total financial situation of the town, but it's not indicative of your budget. In terms of revenue and expenditures in year-to-year budget position, the audit noted that in fiscal 24, there was a decrease in revenue of 0.67%, with the largest decrease associated with grants and contributions, program restricted contributions. It noted that the expenses increased by 0.39%, largely due to public works. In terms of our operating budget, the audit noted that there was no difference between the original and final budget amounts for the general fund. It did note that the general fund actual revenues exceeded budgeted amounts by $29,420. Most revenue categories were received in excess of budgeted amounts, with the exception of property taxes, permits, and licenses. General fund expenditures also exceeded budgeted amounts by $9,615. All expenditure categories were with or below budgeted amounts, with the exception of general government, the office and administration, and public safety. While this is positive overall, in the sense that we didn't operate in a deficit, we still overspent our budget by $9,650. It identifies yet again that the office and administration expenditures need to be closely monitored, and that the smaller amount in budgeted spending by the highway department is what kept the town from running a deficit. This situation is most likely going to be similar in FY25 and is being closely monitored by the treasurer and financial team. So while this audit is positive in many regards, most notably the minimal correct and journal entries required by the auditors, the slight budget surplus and the unmodified opinion issued, it identifies multiple areas where the treasurer's office can improve. Management letter, also written by RHR Smith and included with this memo, notes 3 major issues confronting the administration, legislature, and select. The reconciliation of general ledger accounts, the budget, and the review of the bank reconciliations. Firstly, to handle the first issue on the management letter, starting in December of 2024, fiscal year 25, in the treasurer's office, we've already taken steps to ameliorate the situation. Beginning with the bank account, reconciliation of bank statements. The treasurer is contracted with an independent fee accountant to handle these reconciliations and works closely with them to review, oversee, correct, and ultimately approve the reconciliations done each month, keeping the town bank account and internal account in line. While this has been somewhat of a learning process for all involved, there's been significant progress and new policies and procedures put in place to continue. You'll see on the management letter, item number 1, or excuse me, item number 3, right? Sorry about that. While performing the audit, what the auditor says here, while performing the audit in the above mentioned fiscal year, we note that bank reconciliations are not reviewed and signed off by an employee other than Terry. We recommend all bank reconciliations be reviewed, dated, and signed off by another employee with knowledge of the operation. The second is the budget. As previously mentioned, the budget overages continue to be a concern for the treasurer's office. Therefore, budget controls have been implemented, and we hope that fiscal year 26 will show a much tighter level of control implemented over budget policy. Additionally, policies have been developed to provide a higher level of reporting to the select board of budget status and expenditures. This is an ongoing effort and will be reviewed over time to make sure it's adequate to what our needs and obviously reality to that situation. Again, noting the management comment here from the auditors, it should be noted that while performing our audit on the above mentioned year, that the town had overdrawn several budget line items. Management should pay careful attention to all budget line items to ensure compliance with the approved spending. While performing the audit for the above mentioned fiscal year, we noted that the town's fiscal software did not have a budget corrector posted. We recommended that the town implement procedures to ensure a balanced budget with postal units and town software. That was an issue that I came into, and with the help of folks in town, corrected. But it was after the fact. So, but it will be good. It will be perfect for fiscal 26. Now that I know what I'm looking for. Third, the reconciliation of the general ledger accounts. This represented much of the work conducted by the treasurer and finance team in preparation for the fiscal 24 audit. The internal revenue and expense, asset liability accounts need to be reviewed on a very regular basis, a process that had not been fully implemented. Additionally, the different modules in NEMRIC need to be checked against each other to verify, for instance, that tax revenue and receivables agree with what was billed from the grand list, and that accounts payable agree with what the general ledger is showing as liabilities. This too has been an ongoing process, and while it is showing great results in terms of internal controls, we've done the documents in a way that is heretofore having been undone. Our goal is to make the audit and audit preparation a smooth and streamlined process for years to come with none of the significant expenses we saw associated with that audit preparation issue. And again, noting the management letter, while performing the audit of the above mentioned fiscal year, we noted that general ledger accounts are not being reconciled throughout the year. We recommend that all general ledger accounts, particularly liability accounts, be reconciled on a monthly basis within 30 days from the date of the month that would be necessary to subsidiary ledgers to ensure accuracy and completeness of transactions in the correct reporting period and to help avoid material mistakes. So overall, like I said, a lot of lessons learned from this, mostly on, I think, the lack of policies and procedures necessary to safeguard our own internal accounting in the office, and also a kind of a newfound concept, a newfound situation with the fee accounting to help us better outsource some of our checking and be able to review work that isn't being done by the office. We've already implemented those controls in the office and adding the fee accounting is great. You know, it is an expense for the town, but it helps us get a better audit, it helps us get a better product, and it helps us have tighter controls over our finances in the town from day to day, year to year, month to month, everything. And so I also provided to you a statement of position, which is very general and 50,000 foot view of the situation. And the more important, Schedule B, Schedule of Department Operations for the General Fund, which is really like a budget to actual you can see on a regular basis around that. Showing and detailing some of the things that I discussed in terms of revenue and expenditures, assets.
Great. I think Teresa and I were saying just a comment.
Our previous auditors.
Previous auditor never went into kind of this like recommendation depth and like looking at these things to help,
Yeah.
you know, guide us.
And that's the only auditor we ever worked with before,
We did.
but we didn't get, yeah, we never got that
And was
information.
big. Yeah, those comments were.
We always ask.
And oftentimes those meeting letters are extremely important components of an audit to show you where your deficiencies are. Our management letters here are somewhat typical of small towns in Vermont, mostly because small towns have small offices. It's very difficult to find. You have a big office, a big finance department, you're able to do a lot. Everyone's able to do a little part, which is all checked by everyone else. Here, there's 2 people in the office and a third hired, so they are typical, but it is important for you to know. And that management letter is a component of your understanding of the audit, whereas the finances and stuff are as well.
Correct. Yeah, that's great.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions on this? I will,
Did
of
you
course.
see this? Did you go through
Yeah, I
that?
was just gonna ask her another guy.
Awesome.
And just remember, this is last year's. so
Correct.
A year ago.
Right.
We'll review it again. We will, you know, if there's anything else, we'll continue that process drafting and making sure that it's accurate. And then it will be, we'll have paper copies delivered. It will be posted on the website and the select board will also.
Good.
Awesome. Thank you.
Any other discussion for the 24 on the board?
25.
2025 fiscal year reporting.
It's important to note as we discuss this, that, we're reporting on numbers that are as of today, but not inclusive of total expenditures for fiscal 25. Things are still going to come in July that are applicable to fiscal 25, technically fiscal 26, that will be a bills that come in that dealt with things like that. So this is really reflective of kind of our situation as of May, June. The numbers in the budget tax are pretty accurate, but they're also not complete. So keep that in mind as we discuss this. You also got the memo on this, and I'll be discussing from that same memo on this. So fiscal 25 is nearly over. Payment experience, the number of external events have significantly affected the financial picture of the town. The floods in July 2024 caused significant damage to several town roads and culverts, leading to approximately $67,000 worth of damage. These costs have been paid, but need to be officially offset into an appropriate account. Additionally, the town experienced a higher than usual delinquency rate, and as of 6/23/25, we had approximately $30,000 in delinquent taxes. That represents probably 3 times as many as this same time last year. We're working on it, we're doing everything we can. Sometimes it's difficult to collect delinquent taxes. So this $100,000 approximately, the excess $67,000, $30,000 in less revenue puts our cash position, and not reflective of our budget position or audit position, cash in the bank position, at a disadvantage in part is